Hi mamas, I'm Emma Deary, and these are some exercises you can do to start to find and gently, safely retone your pelvic floor after you've had a baby. And that applies whether you've had a vaginal birth or a C-section. The weight of the baby inside your pelvis would have been pushing down on your pelvic floor. So we all need to work to strengthen and rebuild those muscles again once our baby is here. So before we begin, I know for many of us it's really hard to actually find our pelvic floor even before we've had a baby. So once the use of the muscles isn't there, it's even harder to locate them. So I just wanted to show you this beautiful pelvis. So if you imagine this in your body, would sit right here at the front. This is what might be called your pubic bone, and this is at the back of your body. So your pelvic floor is actually all underneath. I like to kind of call it a pelvic hammock because it goes right from the front, from your vulva, all the way back to your anus. And it's not just the outside there, it's everything. There's a few organs in here, so you can ignore those. But it's everything that's inside. So it's like a massive bowl of muscle inside and coming to the outside of your whole pelvic girdle. So the exercises I'm going to give you today are suitable from early postnatal, just to help you find those muscles again and just get some stimulation going. And I'd like you to imagine this entire ball of pelvic muscles on the outside and all around the inside. When we talk about the pelvic floor, think about that entire ball kind of drawing in and up. Sometimes I refer to it as like a drawbridge, so that you really think of from the back to the front, kind of coming in and up, or like a hammock scooping in and up. Okay. So, coming down onto your back from wherever you are safely. If you've got your baby with you, have your baby close by. Otherwise, come down onto your side, onto your elbows, and then roll onto your back. So I've got something under my pelvis to keep it feeling soft on the ground. And I've also got a pillow under my head and shoulders, but you don't want too much under there, because if your chin starts to come up here into this posture, then we haven't got an aligned spine. So to start with, pad out what you might need so that you feel comfy, and then move your feet away a little bit. You might feel your pelvis tilt, and then move your feet in a little bit closer, as close as you can. You'll feel your pelvis kind of tilt the other way and your lower back push into the ground. And then see if you can just edge your toes into a neutral place between the two so that your spine is neutrally aligned. Place your hands down on the ground beside you, or you can have your baby here on your thighs and just hold on to your baby. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, just breathe out through your mouth. And again, inhale. And now really put your focus on the exhale and just imagine drawing your belly button in towards the back of your spine. I'm not thinking about that pelvic hammock at all. Just firstly focusing on the belly. So you can also do this with your hands on your belly. Just encouraging belly button inwards, ribs closing together and down. For about 6 breaths. You might find also as you're doing this that you need some support underneath your feet, so you could have a cushion underneath your feet. You might also like to put something between your thighs to hold on if you feel a bit unstable. Last breath. So that's stage 1 of reintroducing yourself to the pelvic floor muscles, because they're all integrated. The muscles here in your core are all attached, and all the diaphragm will activate the muscles in the pelvic floor. So I recommend practicing that first of all and doing about 3 sets of 6 breaths until you're really used to feeling the abdominal muscles and the belly button just coming inwards and closing. Once that becomes a little easier, you can move on to the next stage and start to try and locate some of the pelvic floor muscles. So first of all, you might just tilt your pelvis back so that your lower back comes into the ground. Just kind of engage your buttocks and squeeze your anus and then release. Totally let go. Inhale, tiny little tilt and squeeze your anus. This might be the easiest muscle to find to start with, and let go. And just continue like that. Inhale, exhale. Just a little squeeze of the anus with that tilt. Release. Tilt that pelvis, a little squeeze, or you might stay up in the tilt and release and squeeze and release. Next stage, placing your hands on the ground. Inhale. Exhale. Doing that little tilt and just ever so slightly, literally about an inch, lifting your pelvis off the ground, and again squeezing into your anus. And then release. And just breathe normally. And again, push your hands into the ground, push your toes into the ground, do that tiny pelvic tilt, tiny, tiny lift, push your toes, squeeze the anus, and release as you come down. Take a normal breath in between. And again, inhale. As you exhale, push the hands, open your chest, push your toes, tiny, tiny little tilt, squeeze the anus, and released. Exhale, push into the hands, into the feet, little tilt and squeeze, and exhale, release. And again, I recommend about 6 of those. Practicing those regularly, daily, or 3 times a day ideally. And you can do this in bed. You can do this also seated if you're feeding. Any point in your day that it comes to your mind, integrate your breathing with your pelvic floor lifts. And that's the difference between a kegel and the pelvic floor the postnatal toning of the pelvic floor, that you integrate the breathing with the exercises, because then you're targeting all the muscles in the abdomen and the pelvic floor, and they're all working together, so there'll be a greater toning. But we start really, really small. Okay, so when you've done stage 1 and stage 2, you might feel like you can engage some of the other muscles in the pelvic floor. So you could do that same exercise without the tilt. Inhale and exhale, push down and start to draw up some of the rest of the muscles in the pelvic hammock. This can feel difficult to try and engage the urethra, the muscles in the front. So what I recommend, coming onto your side, is grab a couple of pillows. Now, if you've had a C-section, you definitely want to do this with the pillows. Because this is my real baby, I'm just going to move it over here. You definitely want the pillow on your belly for a C-section, so you can press down onto your belly. I like to use the pillows regardless because I find them comforting and also really just help to have something to move against. So a pillow underneath your knees and a pillow in the hip crease here, and then draw your thighs up in towards you and pull your knees here. Relax your shoulders. Just take a breath so you can relax here for a moment. So in this position, with your pelvis tilted up like this, you might already just have more of an awareness of the rest of your pelvic floor. And what we're going to focus on here is just the front part, just the urethra. So take an inhale. And as you exhale, just do little pulses. Squeeze, squeeze. And it's that feeling if you needed to go for a wee and you're trying to stop yourself. Now, for many of us, postnatally, particularly with a vaginal birth, it's really hard to stop that wee. So this is the muscle here that we're just reactivating without the pressure of actually gravity pulling us down and making us follow through with a wee. So keep squeezing, about 6, and just relax. Check in halfway through your squeezing. If your whole body is tense and holding on and just squeezing, just chill for a moment, just neutralize. Let the breath go and then come back. Inhale. And little squeezes, squeeze, 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 just stopping the wee. And if you can't find that yet, go back to stage 2 or go back to stage 1, because in each stage you will be activating the other muscles in your pelvic floor. You're just not putting your focus on them, but because they're all attached, they'll all be moving. As soon as we draw in the anus, the muscles attached in the front of the pelvic bowl or hammock will be drawing anyway. So little squeezes, and then release. And there you go. You can do these, as I say, lying down. Just come up gently onto your side and bring yourself up. You might also do these on a chair. You might like to do them with the pillow underneath your buttocks here, and the same thing. Using the anus, starting number 1, drawing the belly in. Number 2, starting to find the muscles in the anus. Number 3, finding the urethra at the front, easy for you to say. And then you can start trying to integrate them all. So taking an inhale, and as you exhale, focusing on the exhale, trying to make it nice and long and drawing everything up. The final stage would be on the inhale to find some engagement in the pelvic floor. Again, still lying down or seated. So find some engagement on the inhale, which you might have done if you'd done any yoga, any pregnancy yoga or prenatal yoga. So find those muscles and draw them in on the inhale. And then as you exhale, keep them there and draw them up and in even more. And then release. Just take a regular breath. And again, inhale and draw them in. Exhale. And release. Practice them as often as your mind feels like it is ready to. When you've got some focus, I'm sending you love and strength and solidarity, Mama. Namaste. I really hope you enjoyed that, Mama. Leave me a comment below if you did. Like the video, share it, and subscribe to my channel. And if you head over to emmadeary.com, there is a free 5-minute grounding meditation waiting for you to bring you back to calm and balance whenever you need it. See you next time.